Final Fantasy XIV is a massive game with thousands of hours of content. What I'm going to do here is break down some of the major plot points for those of you who want to know more about Eorzea, but may not have time to experience it all firsthand. Today, we're tackling the story of the Shadows of Mhach raid storyline from Heavensward. The story begins in Ishgard when a trader asks you to track down a missing cargo ship. He got the contract to send supplies to Cloudtop, but his ship is running late and he's worried, especially since there are sky pirates in the area. Because you don't have anything more pressing to do at the time, you camp Cloudtop to see if there are any leads on the missing vessel. One of the soldiers stationed there recalls seeing a ship making some odd maneuvers to the north, but since it wasn't landing close to him, he didn't pay it much attention. You go and check it out, only to find the pilot being robbed by a group of sky pirates. You get ready to deal with them, but before you get around to it, a small airship swoops in, and a man named Leofard shows up. He's not happy about the work these so-called pirates are doing. There's a code to the art of plunder in disguise, and those who sully the name of sky pirates by breaking it have to be dealt with. And so he shoots him. The cargo pilot promises that his employer would love to repay Leofard for his help, and since no smart pirate works for free, he tells the man where to deliver his reward. When the pilot runs off to finish his delivery, Leofard turns his attention to you. He's well aware of the reputation of the Warrior of Light and the mana cutter ship that you fly around in as you save people and stuff. It's fortunate that he met you because he had wanted to talk to you about a job. A dangerous job. And since you're an adventurer by trade, you should be okay with exploring risky places. He assures you that it's nothing cruel. He doesn't do the whole robbing people thing, but hunting new sights and treasure is all that being a sky pirate is about. If you're interested, he tells you to meet him at his base to the north. Stacia, a member of Leofard's crew, is there waiting for you to guide you to the Red Bill's nest. Even after everything you've seen, the place built on one of the floating islands is impressive. Stacia leads you to Leofard's office, but voices can be heard from inside, so the two of you wait. He's in the middle of arguing with another pirate named Rodley about an expedition into something called the Ghost Ship and how he should work with her, but he doesn't trust her or her crew. She threatens him, which works wonders for the whole, trust thing, and leaves. Stacia tells you that Rodley leads the Talons and has been trying to get Leofard to merge his crew with hers for a long time, but they have very different views on what it means to be a sky pirate, so that'll never happen. None of that matters right now. Since you decided to show up, Leofard tells you his plan. There's a ghost ship in the Sea of Clouds, and he plans on exploring it. Over the past few weeks, people have been seeing a giant ship floating around. A few people tried to explore it, and after they were never seen again, rumors spread that the place was haunted. Leofard assumes that the ship is another relic left behind by the Alligans, but he won't know until you all take a look inside. If it is a relic from ages past, the things inside will be worth a fortune. Tracking the ship will be difficult, but the crew has already been working on a device to do that. Once they find it, however, they'll need a bit of muscle if they want to survive the trip. See where this is going? You're the muscle. Never one to shy away from an adventure, you agree to join their quest, and you all head to see Utata, another of the Red Bills, who's been working on the device to track the ship. She's already done, and she says that the ship has a unique etheric signature, making it easy to trace with her ectocompass. So whenever you're ready, she can chart an intercept course for you. Since you have no idea what's waiting for you on the ship, Leofard recommends you grab some friends you can trust to go with you since he plans on sending you in first. A detail he left out. By accident, I'm sure. Good thing you didn't go in alone, because the enormous ship is crawling with monsters and powerful Voidsent. After you wipe out a particularly strong Voidsent named Echidna at the heart of the ship, Leofard and his crew join you. They found a lot of treasure inside, but there's gotta be more in the giant red coffin thing that just screams "Don't open me" in the room that you're in. They must not have horror movies in Eorzea, because anyone who's seen any scary movie would know, don't touch the glowing red box. You never get to touch it anyway, because the ship begins to shake and a winged Voidsent that you faced before, Diabolos, floats down towards you. He begins to do something that would probably be unpleasant for you when a creepy talking cat creature screams at you to run. Not wanting to take a chance at getting hit by Diabolos' attack, you run away, following the creature. As you flee, you see the Voidsent cut the chains on the giant coffin. He fires a beam out of the ship that tears open a hole in the sky, and he takes the coffin into it, allowing the ghost ship to drift off into the Sea of Clouds. You, Leofard, the weird cat creature, and his crew all head back to the base. Before you have a chance to celebrate your glorious adventure, Ralia shows up with some of her men holding Utata hostage. She saw the cannon that the ghost ship fired, and she wants it. She wants you to hand over the device that Utata made for you to track the ship, or she's going to do something cruel to the poor Lalafell. Having been on the ship, Leofard has no problem handing it over. When Ralia and her men leave, he reveals that he did slip a link pearl into the compass so he can spy on the woman. While Stacia thinks that was clever, it won't stop Ralia from getting her hand on the ship's cannon. That's a problem for another day, however. First, Leofard has some questions for the weird cat about the ship it was on. The ship is called the Void Ark, and the cat's name is Kite Sith. He'll tell you everything you want to know as long as Leofard stops calling him Furball and Puss. It's going to be a long story, so you all head back to Leofard's office to get a bit more comfortable. Long ago, in the city of Mhach, the sorcerers fought a war against Amdapor and Nim, a war that led to the Sixth Umbral Calamity. High Void Mage Cessair, Kite Sith's master, foresaw this, so she ordered the construction of a large vessel to carry her people through the sky safely, away from the destruction of the land below. She was put in charge of piloting the Void Ark, and to power the giant craft, over 1,000 Voidsent were sealed in the ship, their energy drained for fuel. It was a common practice for Mha'aki sorcerers. It was dangerous to enslave Voidsent, but the power it could give made it all the rage in Mha'aki society. The problem with slaves is they always want to break free, and when they do, things don't bode well for their captors. At the center of the Void Ark, the Mha'aki held the leader of the Voidsent, Skatha, the Shadow Queen. It took a powerful mage to contain the queen, which was why Cessair had been given the task, even though she'd been imprisoned for protesting the war. Even with her power, she couldn't contain the Shadow Queen for long, and lesser Voidsent began to get roused by their queen's power, causing chaos on the ship. In the end, Cessair and the 53 other Void Mages sacrificed their lives to return the Voidsent to their coffin, leaving Kite Sith alone to guard the prison. With the Sixth Umbral Calamity taking place over 1,500 years ago, Leofard wants to know what caused the Voidsent to wake up all of a sudden after so long. One day, a Voidsent shaped like a bat flew into the ship. It was weak at first, but being on the ship strengthened it until Kite Sith couldn't overpower it anymore. Then it began breaking the seals binding the other creatures, and now it plans on freeing the Shadow Queen. After reclaiming the coffin, Diabolos used the Ark's cannon to open a void gate, a means of instant teleportation from one place to another to escape. Unfortunately, not even Kite Sith knows where he went. He begs you all to help him find the coffin before the queen is freed, and Leofard is all for it. It sounds like a great adventure with potential for untold treasure and excitement, something he hasn't had in a while. Of course, he's not doing it to save the world, he just doesn't want some crazy Voidsent interfering with his pirating. Before you can go forward, there's more preparations to be made, so you go back to your adventures while Leofard gets to work. Meanwhile, Ralia and her crew are getting ready to take the Void Ark and use its weapons to rule the skies. When next you check in with the Red Bill, Stacia lets you know that they've been working on finding Diabolos. Pirates have been seeing Voidsent all over, so they know it's hiding somewhere in the sky. They just don't know where. The fact that Leofard and Kite Sith are arguing over how to find it is not helping things. Maybe you can help mediate. The search is going so badly that Leofard even checked on Ralia with his hidden link pearl. Still, he found nothing, so he thinks the only thing to do is search everywhere. Kite Sith thinks the idea is stupid. Leofard's crew is not that big, so Kite believes that he should ask for help from the other crews. The idea is ridiculous. The pirates would either demand all the treasure you find as payment or just laugh in your faces. Kite Sith thinks some may help, and even you think it's worth a try. Instead of wasting more time arguing, Leofard sends you to see if you can figure out what's bothering Utata. She's been cursing about the Void Ark for the last few days, so something's got her irritated. Kite Sith decides to come with you instead of wasting more time arguing with Leofard. When Utata lays eyes on Kite Sith, she grabs him and squeezes him practically to death. I guess she's a cat person. What's bothering her is the compass that was stolen. She's made another one, but it's pointing in a different place from where the Void Ark should be. She has no idea what she did wrong. With her engineering skills, it's doubtful that she made a mistake, so it must be something else. Since the compass was attuned to the strange energy that came from the ship, it may not have been tracking the ship at all, but the energy of the Voidsent from within it. Since Diabolos and the Shadow Queen left the ship, that could explain the compass pointing somewhere else. That also means that she may have accidentally found a way to track Diabolos. Stacia gives Utata a call, but before she can tell her the good news, Stacia warns that the Talon airships are heading toward the Red Bill's hideout, so you rush back to prepare for an attack. The Talon sky pirates aren't there to attack. They've come begging for help saving Ralia. With everything they've done to the Red Bills, they must have messed with something horrible to come begging Leofard for help. The compass that they stole from you didn't lead them to the Void Ark at all. Instead, it led to a ruined city filled with Voidsent. One of the creatures started knocking their ships out of the sky. Only 2 of them managed to escape. Almost everyone else was stranded, surrounded by Voidsent with all of their ships destroyed, Rodlia included. Using the link pearl he stored in the stolen compass, Leofard overhears something about a Mhach artifact that the Voidsent are looking for. Proof Rodlia is alive, but there's no telling for how long. It's tempting to leave her to rot, but Leofard's not one to turn down an adventure, so he's willing to help. The remaining Talons had left the captain in the Yafaim Saltmoor to the northwest of Mordona. Kite Sith knows the place. It's the ruins of the capital city of the Mhach Empire. He even knows what the Voidsent must be after: the Nullstone. According to Kite Sith, to understand the Nullstone, you first have to understand how Voidsent are forced into service. The stronger the Voidsent, the harder it is for them to appear in Eorzea. It is for that reason that they work with the mages. The mages can open a hole between their world and the world of the Voidsent, where it can step through, or a vessel can be brought to house the Voidsent's essence. To protect themselves, the mages created a device that would bind the Voidsent to their will, because the creatures would never honor a verbal contract with someone so much weaker than they were. That device, as far as Kite Sith knows, is still in the ruins of the ancient city. The Nullstone has the power to destroy even the most powerful of Voidsent. After hearing the story, Leofard hardly sees a difference between the ancient Mhach and the Voidsent. They offered passage to the Voidsent, then built machines to murder them if they did anything that the summoners didn't like. Kinda hard to feel sorry for them when the Voidsent turned on them. But right or wrong didn't matter. The only thing that was important was the glory of the Mhach Empire. Moral arguments aside, Diabolos is most likely going after the Nullstone to take it before any mortal can find it, removing the greatest weapon against the Shadow Queen. What Leofard can't understand is why the Mhach left the stone behind in the first place, but the wards and guardians designed to keep people away from it made leaving it where it was the safest option, even with the world flooding from the calamity. The floods would make it all but impossible for an angry Voidsent to steal it. After all of those centuries passed, the city is no longer flooded, and the only thing the Voidsent have to deal with is the traps and the guardians before they reach their prize. Unless, of course, you steal it first. And if you're feeling generous, you may even save Rodlia on the way. The Voidsent fill every corner of their city on the search for the Nullstone. At the heart of the ruins, you face FFXIV, a former Mhach mage who used a ritual to mutate her body and become immortal, so she could act as the last line of defense for the Nullstone. After you dispatch her, you search around but still find no sign of Rodlia or the Talons, but you do manage to find the Nullstone. However, on your fight through the city, you did destroy all of its defenses, making a path for the Voidsent straight to the device. FFXIV, one of Diabolos' servants and a Voidsent that you faced before, shows up with Rodlia in tow. He threatens to kill her if you don't hand over the stone, as if any one of you really care about her. The pirate is hardly a friend, and instead of turning over the stone, Leofard pulls his gun on her himself. The two of them start arguing, which is kind of funny in this situation. The argument irritates FFXIV so much that instead of killing Rodlia, he attacks Leofard, but Kite Sith activates the Nullstone and blasts the Voidsent with a powerful light. He flees before it can kill him, and you gather up Rodlia and return to the Red Bill's base. While it's cause for celebration that your mission was successful, Leofard's a bit upset that the Nullstone didn't work the way Kite Sith said it would. It was supposed to destroy the Voidsent in an instant, not give it a chance to run away. However, the problem wasn't with the stone. Kite just didn't know how to fully harness its power. Once he learns to use it properly, a creature like FFXIV will be wiped out in a blink. Even though it didn't work out as he had hoped, Leofard still compliments Kite on his quick thinking, admitting that he probably saved you all with his attack before he heads to his office, where you follow him to wait for Rodlia to wake up. When she comes in the room, the first thing she does is ask for a crew. Sadly, none of them survived. She looks truly sad for her people, but Leofard wants to know what made her go into Mhach in the first place. She had wanted the Void Ark's weapons, so for her to risk her crew to explore the ancient city means she must have known something else was there. She'd found a book in some ruins in the Sea of Clouds that had mentioned a powerful weapon called the Nullstone. The book was old and barely legible, but even Rodlia's men could tell that it was written by a famous Mhach mage. She still had the book with her, and she hands it over. She had planned on claiming the Void Ark and the Mhach weapon, then using them to crown herself the Queen of the Skies. but after failing to keep her crew safe, she doesn't even feel worthy of the title. Kite Sith tries to get her to join the rest of the Talons with the Red Bills so you can hunt down the Voidsent and get revenge for what happened, but Rodlea lost her best men in the ruins. The few that she has left aren't worth too much. Leofard tries to light a fire under her with a few well-placed insults, but that's not even enough to get her back in the game. She leaves the book, hoping that it can help you deal with the Voidsent, and Leofard orders Kate to translate it and learn to use the Nullstone as quickly as possible. He wants every weapon he can have when you all go up against the Shadow Queen. Meanwhile, Diabolos is informed by FFXIV that the mortals have the Nullstone, something that he already knew. He vows to deal with them, but Diabolos is tired of hiding. The Shadow Queen is almost back at full power, and it's time for their plans to go forward. Kite Sith was right about the book. It was written by a very powerful Mhach sorcerer, and has information on the Nullstone as well as a bit of information about his master Cessair. Apparently she was the one who summoned Diabolos. She had planned on using it as a bluff to scare Amdapor into surrendering, but the Mhach Empire, instead of using it as a threat, unleashed the Voidsent on their enemies. When Cessair protested, they branded her a traitor and arrested her. After they had locked her away, they began to learn all types of dark magic from Diabolos, including how to summon the Shadow Queen and bind her power. When everything went wrong, just like Cessair predicted, the Mhach begged her to use the Void Ark to save their people from the calamity, and that led to the Shadow Queen's power leaking out on the Ark, something that Diabolos had planned for by giving the mages a flawed binding spell. He had intended to return and join his power with the Queens, but he had been sealed away by white mages in Amdapor. There's no telling what they could do if their powers were brought together. As Cessair's familiar, Kite Sith feels that it's his job to deal with Diabolos since his master summoned it, and since the book told him how to use the Nullstone, he can do it. That's all well and good, but rushing off after Diabolos, even though the compass can track him to his base, is a good way to die, Nullstone or not. Apparently Statia's the only member of the crew with any sense of self-preservation. Without her, Leofard will probably lead his crew to the same fate as the Talons. Mid-talk, the entire base begins to shake. You all race outside to find the base under attack by Diabolos himself. His attack was so swift that he manages to steal the Nullstone before Kite Sith can use it. He gets ready to use it on you to knock the base out of the sky, but Rodlea and her Talons show up with a massive airship, causing the Voidsent to retreat with his prize. Apparently, Rodlea managed to get the other pirate crews to unite under her, and she brought them to Leofard's base so you can all deal with the Voidsent. Good thing she did, because she probably saved you all, especially Leofard. He was hurt so badly during the attack that Kite Sith wants him to stay behind while you all go after Diabolos. You can't wait for him to recover, not while the Voidsent have the Nullstone. Of course, Leofard's against the idea of letting Rodlea take the lead, but Kite Sith believes she's the best one for the job since he thinks Diabolos is on the very island where Rodlea found the Mhach book. The book spoke of the floating island that was made to be a safe haven for those who fled the floods of the calamity. It also tells of the Voidsent magic used to make the place. It was where the Void Ark was supposed to land, but since it never happened, the island was never inhabited and would make a perfect spot for Diabolos and his allies to hide. Diabolos would never expect you to attack him so suddenly. With Rodlea's fleet, she can rip a path through the lesser Voidsent, clearing a way for you to take the Nullstone back and finish off Diabolos once and for all. Injured as he is, Leofard would only be in the way. He pouts about it, but he understands, and you all get ready to head to Dunskaith for your final confrontation with Diabolos. The moment you get close to the island, a flying Voidsent attacks you, doing everything in its power to knock you out of the sky. You manage to stave off the attack and dock on the floating island, but things only get more difficult from there. The Voidsent sent everything at you to stop you from reaching the Shadow Queen, one of them being your old friend FFXIV. You take him down, for good this time, at least we all can hope. Voidsent seem really hard to kill. After dealing with even greater threats, you finally come face to face with the Shadow Queen herself. Powerful though she may be, you and your group managed to bring her down a bit easier than expected for something that was deemed so dangerous. With the fall of the Queen, Diabolos swoops in and attacks. Now that he's at full power, he is a force to be reckoned with, but his powers aren't nearly enough to beat you. Not until he reveals the real reason he sought to resurrect the Shadow Queen. He wasn't bringing her back because he served her. He wanted to use her body as a conduit to funnel all of her power into himself. With her power flowing through him, your attacks barely cause any damage at all. But after hitting him a lot, you manage to cause the surging power flowing through him to become unstable. The surge of power shifts him into his bat form, causing him to drop the Nullstone. Kite Sith warns you not to drop your guard, however, because he can still sense Diabolos nearby, but Radlia goes to retrieve the Nullstone anyway. At that moment, Diabolos shifts back into his true form and swoops down, knocking her unconscious. Another quick attack takes Kite Sith down as well, but while he has gained greater power, he still doesn't think he can deal with you. Deciding to live to fight another day, he decides to leave Eorzea until he masters his new powers. Then he will come back and finish you off. Before he can flee, Leofard flies in, ramming him with his ship and causing Diabolos to drop the Nullstone. Leofard fires a few shots at the Voidsent, but the bullets do nothing. The Voidsent's own shot leaves the pirate unconscious and smoking on the ground. He should be dead, but apparently Eorzeans all have bodies that can survive long falls, bullets, and explosions, unless the story says otherwise. We're just going to ignore that. The distraction gives you enough time to get the Nullstone to Kite Sith, who blasts Diabolos with the full force of the artifact. This time, it works exactly how it's supposed to, leaving no trace of Diabolos. While your crew of friends are a little banged up and Leofard's mana cutter is a flaming wreck on the ground, you're all still alive, and Kite Sith managed to honor his master's memory by cleaning up her mess. With the mission completed, you all head back to the Red Bill's base, where Stacia fusses at Leofard for flying after you all. Being a sky pirate is all about freedom, and he'd rather die than be told that he can't fly. His only regret is that he lost his ship and his goggles. Now that the Voidsent threat is over and done with, Radlia deems your alliance over, unless Leofard wants to finally join her crew, an offer that he of course declines before Radlia leaves. Despite winning, Kite Sith feels like a failure. The only reason he managed to stop Diabolos was because of you and Leofard, and had Leofard followed Kite's plan and stayed behind, then Diabolos would still be free, and even more of a threat than before. He wants to apologize to the captain, but the man doesn't seem to be in the mood for talking. Stacia decides to tell you about why Leofard seems a bit sad. He was an orphan who had been taken in by a highborn widow. She was ill and couldn't go outside much, so she read Leofard books about all types of faraway places. He took care of her until the day she died, and on her deathbed she made him promise that he would live his life as free as a bird and see all the places that she never could. So he named his ship Ramil after her as a way of taking her with him so she could see all of the places he went to as he fulfilled his promise to her. Leofard is none too pleased when he hears her telling his life story, and he doesn't want any of your sympathy. He does, however, want to present Kite Sith with a gift. He gives him a scarf, the symbol of all Red Bills, as well as a formal invitation to join the crew. After working with the odd cat, Leofard thinks he'll be a perfect fit for the crew, and while losing his ship did hurt, he'd do it all again if it meant saving his new friend. Now that his mission is done and he has nothing left to do, Kite is more than happy to join the Red Bills. His first duty as a new Red Bill is to give the Warrior of Light a proper send-off, but first, everybody needs a bath. You can't go around looking shabby and still keep the reputation as dapper pirates. With everything done, Leofard and the Red Bills bid you farewell, but not before letting you know that if anything else exciting happens, they'll make sure to give you a call. This concludes the story of the Shadows of Mhach raid. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video.